Hey everyone, I'm Kain Warwick and welcome to Uneasy Money, because what happens on chain never stays on chain. I'm here with my co-host Taylor Monahan, security expert, and Luca Netz, CEO of Pudgy Penguins. We're going to dive into a minute, but one quick thing before we start: nothing you hear on Uneasy Money is financial advice. We're just three builders talking about what's happening on chain, and we want you to always do your own research before aping in. You can find all our disclosures at unchaincrypto.com/uneasymoney. Before we begin, here's a word from the sponsors that make this show possible.
The Energy Network is an intelligent, decentralized grid that coordinates smart devices to balance supply and demand. Energy Dollar is the native token of the network from one of Europe's fastest growing energy startups. Follow at Fuse Energy on X to find out more. Multi-Chain Advisors is an emerging technology growth firm that has helped create $50+ billion in enterprise value for 80+ clients over the past 4 years. They're the partner to help navigate markets. Build real traction today at multichainadv.com.
Quick note before we get into today's episode. Bits and Bips now has its dedicated feed. We're spinning off from the Unchained feed and moving to a new podcast and YouTube channel. So if you want to keep up with our weekly live streams and macro meets, crypto breakdowns, make sure to subscribe to Bits and Bips directly. We won't publish there until March, but subscribe today so you can be ready for launch. Be sure to subscribe to the new feeds at unchaincrypto.com/bitsandbips.
All right. Hey, everyone. Our first segment, as it has been now, I think, for maybe the last month or so, is going to be on Aave governance. Another core contributor of the Aave DAO has rage quit, I guess, is probably the best way of putting it. So we actually had Mark Zeller on the show a few weeks ago, who is, I guess, the actual leader of the Aave Chan initiative. And they've said that they will wind down their work with Aave and potentially even wind down their work completely. They might be dissolving ACI completely, I think is the latest thing that I heard. So yeah, this is the second major contributor. BGD and ACI are the two major contributors outside of Aave Labs. And my sense from kind of the timeline and all the conversations and talking to Mark is that, like, between BGD and ACI, that is the majority of the engineering resources that we're working on. Certainly Aave v3. I guess Aave v4 has been led more by Labs, but v3, which is the protocol that has the most TVL, is led by them. So look, I think we have continued to be surprised by the escalation of this situation. Like, if these guys had UAVs, they would be firing them at each other, is my hot take, which, like, I don't know. I don't know how we got to this point where, like, everyone's just like, we're completely out. I think the only thing I'll say before I hand it over to you guys for your takes is, like, we talked about this maybe on, like, the first or second show, this idea that, like, the idea of DAOs, right? Like this DAO theory, DAO governance, whatever. And I know, Tay, you're a huge fan of this theory, but this idea that like DAOs are a thing that can work was really hanging by a thread called Aave for a long time. All of the other DAOs had collapsed on themselves, or, you know, failed to allocate funds, or, you know, a bunch of different issues that we'd seen in DAO governance over the years. And Aave was like the only functional DAO that really had its shit together, and they have imploded. So yeah, I don't know if this is like the final nail in the coffin for DAOs, but it definitely, I think, kind of leads towards this idea of more corporate driven protocol development and having, you know, centralized entities that are driving these protocols moving forward, because I don't know who else really is picking up the DAO, you know, mantle to lead this thing. You know, now that Labs runs Aave, basically. Aave Labs runs Aave, and that's kind of where we sit today.
As a big depositor in Aave, would you be concerned about this thing? Like, how are depositors of Aave supposed to look at this, Kain?
So my take is no. I haven't taken any funds out of Aave, and I think this is one of the nice things on the continuum of like decentralization and censorship resistance and immutability. Aave is pretty good. You can't, unfortunately, like Aave v3 in particular, right, is pretty good, pretty isolated. People can't do that much off chain that will blow it up. There are obviously risks to anything that is mutable where the parameters can be changed. But like my hot take is this doesn't have almost any risk for people in v3. It definitely has some risk, I think, for like the overall protocol in terms of, growth and adapting to the market and all of that stuff. And so, I think everyone who has funds in Aave is probably thinking about, what they might do. But I don't know that there's like a credible alternative realistically for the billions of dollars in TVL that people are just going to jump straight to.
Yeah. And thank goodness for that, because Jesus Christ. I don't know. I kind of expected it to not go this
not
way.
Be this? I know. Yeah, you've had a weird optimism the entire time, Tay, that is not really on brand. So I don't know what's going on there. But
I don't know. I wish that they would just kiss and make up and everything would be fine, but I guess we didn't get there. I think the most surprising thing to come out of this is actually there were like a lot of people that this news was like bullish for them.
Yeah.
And I was a bit surprised by that because I don't know. Like in my view, and maybe I'm just wrong, but like in my view, like the Aave Labs guys have not been sort of like sitting their neck deep in this, right? And the people that have been and really understand the stuff are rage quitting. To me, that's not bullish.
Yeah, you don't need to understand things, Tay. Like understanding things is not the most critical part of running a protocol. I don't know what wing of protocol development you come from, but look, I think that's fair. I mean, just on the people seem bullish on this, right? I think my take is that there are a lot of people, including myself, that have a lot of respect for Stani and are friends with Stani. And, interestingly, Stani has not tapped me on the shoulder, although we did try and get him on the show to say, like, start the PSYOP machine, right? Like, so he hasn't brought me into this to be like, we need, moral support or whatever. I think I've been fairly supportive of like a reasonable resolution to this, but that hasn't worked. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people who feel an obligation to Stani or whatever. He's been around for a long time. He's done a lot of things for a lot of people in the space, helped a lot of people that, even in the background, people don't realize. And so there is a little bit of like, probably Stani will figure this out. Like, don't panic sort of thing.
What was the incentive of Mark and the previous group? Like, what were they getting paid a service fee? Like, what type of alignment are they foregoing by leaving this initiative? Like, that, yeah.
The DAO was paying them, but not very much.
Okay.
Is my sense, right? Like single digit millions of dollars over like 4 years. So their budgets. The budgets for BGD and ACI, as I understand it, were quite small, certainly small relative to Aave Labs. Aave Labs was a much bigger org. Those orgs were much smaller. So yeah, I think for BGD, my sense is they're going to go and work on something else. For ACI, the sense is that they aren't. But I think ACI was a much smaller team, like sub 10 people. So, a little bit easier to dissolve that than like a 25-person engineering team.
Yeah. And I think most of the bullishness ultimately comes from this sort of overall bearishness on DAOs and people feeling like, oh, okay, so we can stop pretending that the DAO is a thing and we can just like go to the moon now or whatever. I'm not quite sure that that's actually how things are going to play out, but I guess we will see. And then, yeah, I think a lot of things like Aave has, so there's V4 obviously, but there's also like the mobile app that people are quite bullish on. So yeah, I guess we'll see. On the one hand,
I think it's going to be a test of incentive alignment, right?
Yeah.
Like there's been an equilibrium of incentive alignment that obviously was more fragile than we thought. There will be a new incentive alignment equilibrium that is going to be very interesting to watch, right? Like things like the mobile app, a centralized thing that a DAO struggles to, you struggle to publish a mobile app, whereas Labs can easily publish that. And we've seen this with Uniswap a little bit as well, right? Like Uniswap has been sort of speed running this, right? Like you can own the interfaces, distribution, etc. Are very powerful. So yeah, there's something to be said for like, this is not, I think, necessarily like a situation where you say it's completely dire. Like there are multiple good outcome possibilities out of this that could come. There's just people, on the other side of it who, particularly Mark, I think, that are like, Aave is dead, basically, is the TLDR. So I don't know about that. I think that's,
I mean, there's a lot of money on the table for it to not be dead. So that's, it's going to take some work to like really kill it. I will say just like my impression of the handling of this, it's just like really messy and kind of gross. It leaves a really gross taste in your mouth. I get that everything's supposed to be like transparent and we duke it out in public and stuff, but it's really not a good look. And it does not ultimately leave me that bullish on Aave or Aave leadership, even though I do have respect for Stani. I think that like this is just not the series of choices that various people made here did not get to the best outcomes. And that leaves me not super enthused to like love Aave anytime soon.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So I mean, there's also like a wind down period as well, right? Like this is not, rage. Like I said, rage quit half jokingly, right? Like the plan is to, hand over to Labs and figure that out. I do think that there is a world where a more vertically integrated, less DAO-like Aave is actually fine. Probably, I think. And I don't know about your take on this, Luca, but like particularly when it comes to conversations with, say, institutions and people like that, probably harder to have a conversation with BlackRock being like, "Hello, I am the Aave Chan initiative, and I live inside of the Ethereum blockchain," and like that. Those conversations are probably harder to have, I would imagine, than like, "Hi, I'm Stani. I run Aave Labs out of London, and we're going to do some stuff for you." So yeah, I don't know, Luca, what your experience is with that sort of thing.
I'll take the side that this is going to be incredibly bullish for Aave. That's the side that I'll take for the reasons that you just explained. I think when you think about the future of let's call Aave what it is. It's the great bank on chain. I mean, today, right? I mean, who else comes close to it? Maybe Morpho, maybe some of the things that Jupiter are doing. But as far as I'm concerned, I feel safest parking my money with Aave. I do not question Stani's integrity in terms of user funds. I think all of that stuff is kosher to the best of their ability in terms of obviously a minus an act of God or like their whole team getting hogtied and asking for secret phrases. I think this is going to be better for those reasons. I think you're going to be able to ship product faster. You're going to be able to do deals, without the semantics of DAOs and votes. Nobody wants to hear that when doing a deal. And I've always just been a huge fan of I've kind of been one of the components of the anti-DAO leadership as somebody who was being really pressured and pushed into pushing Pudgy Penguins into a DAO when we acquired it. I think every holder would say that thank God we did not put Pudgy Penguins into a DAO, because we unequivocally would have failed and not be here today.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And, you know, like when you're talking about brand building, when you're talking about, you know, these sorts of things, right? Like there is definitely empirical evidence that DAOs are not good at that stuff. Like they're not good at the like kind of user facing brand building, you know, distribution gathering side of business. You know, so yeah, I tend to agree. Like a more vertically integrated Aave could actually be quite bullish. I do think though that, you know, having outsourced the engineering capability for the last, you know, 2 or 3 years, right? Like that's not an easy thing to solve. And so I think that there's some work there to like restructure this and you know, but yeah, like I think long term I'm bullish on Aave. I think this whole thing has just been a huge distraction and didn't need to get to this point, but hopefully this is the end of this part of it, and everyone can kind of move on in this new Aave world.
Mm-hmm. One last question I had is, what the heck is the Aave token going to be useful for? Like moving forward? Like, wasn't it a lot of it the governance and the budgeting and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, this is the problem, right? I think that's a very reasonable question to ask, because you know, whether it's a good idea or not, most of the utility of a token outside of like any kind of you know, buybacks or whatever, right, comes from DAO governance for protocols. So if that is not a thing anymore, and I don't know that it's not a thing, I think that like you can have, you know, Uniswap is very centralized, Hayden runs it, et cetera, but there is still you know, the necessity of having on-chain votes. And there's still a governance structure that underlies that, even if the allocation of resources in terms of what they're building and what they're trying to do and the direction of the protocol itself is somewhat centralized, there's still checks and balances, you know, and so I do think that this will rationalize into something more like that, right? Like Aave holders do still control the protocol on chain. And so, you know, I don't think you lose that completely. At the end of the day, though, and, you know, Luca, I think you've said this many times on the show, right? Like the value of the protocol is like the value of the brand, right? Like if people believe in the brand, it's, you know, it's an on-chain bank, right? If people trust it and they put their money in it, it's going to be fine. If they don't trust it and they don't put their money in it, it's not going to be fine. And like, it's pretty binary. And so, you know, all of the extra stuff, governance structures and votes and on-chain things and resource allocation and budgeting, like is all a distraction from like, do people believe that Aave is a safe place to put their money, to borrow and to lend?
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is like, I don't know, I guess ultimately, like I would still use Aave. I see no reason to buy Aave tokens at this point though. Although I never really did, to be honest. But now even more so, okay, guys?
Yeah, now I'm really not buying. Are you shorting? Are you shorting Aave here? That's what it sounds like?
I mean, maybe if I like, if I was more active trader, like I feel like that it may have been like the switch, just because I just don't see, it's just drama right now. It's just drama. I don't see, well, and like this last vote especially, it became pretty clear that any governance can be basically passed with like the Aave Labs wallets. So like, I don't know, unless you tell me there's like another secret utility for the Aave token that's super bullish, like it seems like this is just going to perpetually, you know, kind of crash and burn. Even if Aave stays like good and their TVL grows.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, again, I go back to like distribution is the most valuable thing that you can have, right? And if Aave's distribution gets better by being more vertically integrated, and there isn't and this is a risk for sure, right? If there isn't the kind of misalignment of incentives of like value capture happening in labs and not to the token, which Stanny has said he does not intend to do. That's not, he's still a large token holder. You have to have some belief in that, right? Provided this, which is, I think, in fairness, a lot of Mark's concern has been this like, misalignment of incentives of like labs capturing value and not going to the DAO, et cetera, owning the brand, whatever. But provided there isn't this misalignment of incentives, then more value should flow to the token. That would be the hope, I would say. Whether that plays out, how that plays out, it's going to be a very interesting experiment. If it turns into something that is more like old school Uniswap, where like all the value was captured in the equity entity and none of it flowed on chain, that's super bearish for the Aave token. Like super bearish, and bearish for tokens in general, to be honest. Like, Aave has ruined DAOs for us now. Let's hope they don't ruin tokens.
Okay.
I don't think.
We'll stay optimistic, guys. We can do it. Right? We cannot.
Your optimism is not helping us. I think it'd be better if you flip back to being pessimistic again, because your optimism has kind of burned us here.
I'm sorry, guys.
I'm not liking it.
It's my fault. It's all my
fault. One of my favorite shows is Arrested Development, and there's like a scene in Arrested Development where they're watching the TV, and the company that like their family company, the guy who's like the Mad Money style like presenter upgrades the company to a don't buy, and I feel like we just got like a Aave's been upgraded to don't buy moment.
Exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Although literally no one should ever take my advice on like prices or trading ever. Like, it's a terrible idea. Like,
all right. Good caveat there. So let's move on to the next topic. Near had their like annual conference last week. They announced a bunch of things, as Near loves to do. But I think the main thing that they announced, which personally I'm very excited about, is this idea of private execution. So Near launched Near Intense, which is a mechanism that allows you to use the Near chain to control other chains, particularly shitty legacy chains like Bitcoin. That don't have smart contracts. And so a chain that doesn't have smart contracts, you can kind of put this wrapper around these non-smart contract chains and control them remotely via Near. But Near being a public blockchain like Ethereum, it's just public smart contracts, everything's transparent. You couldn't really get the benefit of like privacy. And the most interesting thing was that Near started to support Zcash, but when you moved Zcash with Near, and Zcash obviously is interesting because it has both shielded and unshielded transactions, but moving money via Near made it transparent. And so I think that the intersection of this kind of forced the Near team to go, hang on, people really love Zcash. The privacy meta is coming back. Tornado Cash has been resolved, to some extent. Maybe there is an opportunity to kind of lean in to this meta. And so I think about 6 months ago, they started building this private execution environment, private execution layer. And they've shipped like the first version of this. And so, yeah, my view is this is quite bullish for Near. And I've been bullish on Near for a long time. Tarun, like 4 years ago, from Gauntlet, Near pilled me. I was at dinner and he was like, Near's the best blockchain. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm like, you're a smart guy, but like, you're on crack. And he like, literally, it was like 2 hours of like browbeating me. And eventually I was like, all right, actually, maybe it is the best blockchain. And so you know, the biggest issue I think Near has had historically is they try to do too much.
Yeah.
Like they're just fingers in every single pie, right? They're like, AI, we do AI. Bitcoin, sure, we also can do Bitcoin. Like literally anything you can think of. They did NFTs for a while. They probably have some Pudgy Penguins knockoff that they've been shilling as well. And so they've been kind of running this like very broad, try to do everything approach. And in the last year, they've very much focused on trading and execution in this near intense meta. And so yeah, private intents, confidential intents is pretty exciting for me. I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah, a lot of really, really smart people love Near. I have not been fully Near pilled yet, but I've seen it like in action. And Near Intense is quite good. Like especially bridging between, like I've used it to go across, like not just within EVM land, but across all the other chains. And it's sort of it's actually reached that like it just works type thing. And I also, so I was a pretty early user before their Bridge Explorer was like functional. So a lot of my transactions were confidential by design because they just didn't have a freaking Explorer. Like you pray you kept track of your different addresses.
Oh, I remember this.
Like,
I remember it. Yeah.
So it's a bit funny. Like now it's like, oh, we're actually gonna do confidential stuff. Like no, we built the Explorer. Now it's not confidential. Now we have to build it actually confidentially.
Well, you know, it's funny. Like Ilya pitched me on this on Intense like 2 years ago, maybe even, right? I had a call. He's like, hey, I want to catch up with you on the latest Near stuff. And I was like, all right, like, sure. I'm not going to understand anything this guy's talking about as usual. And he's like, we're doing this thing. And it's like I can't even make a joking, like, take on what he said to me because it was so impenetrable. Like I was just like, I don't know what this guy is talking about. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that all sounds really good. I'm very excited for that to launch. And then like 6 months later, I was like looking at something and someone was like, oh, you know, Near Intense does that. And I was like, oh shit. And I messaged Ilya and I was like, hey, are you still doing like the Near Intense stuff? And he's like, yeah, it's about to launch. And I was like, okay, I'm very excited now that I understand it. But I had like a 6 month window where I had no idea what it was or what it did. But yeah, it's pretty cool. The idea that you can you know control a Bitcoin address from a smart contract chain, like that just feels really cool. So
bullish Near.
Yeah,
bullish Near, definitely bullish Near. All right. So next topic. Hopefully one of you guys. Well, actually, sorry, just to pause here for a second because we had the Zach. What was the ZachXBT thing? Is that what this was?
Oh, there's so much insider trading stuff happening right now, Kain. There's like 8,000. Right. It's just you
got to take this one for me, Tay, because I'm
okay.
I'm not
well, we can start. You want to start with the Zach stuff? Follow up from
sure. Let's start with the Zach stuff because we were waiting for it to drop and it didn't.
Yeah. So it ended up being Axiom, which is like a token. Luca, what is Axiom? Help us.
It's a token trading terminal. It's like a very advanced on-chain trading.
Yeah. My understanding is it's also sort of like a wallet-ish, but like
these advanced trading terminals now make you do like custodian wallets where you like deposit into their interface, but you have your own wallet. So it's not really a wallet, it just has a wallet element built into the terminal so you can get fast execution.
Yeah. Okay. So that is relevant because a lot of EVM people, when the news dropped, was like, wait, how exactly did this guy insider trade this stuff? And the answer is because their internal data, right? Their proprietary private like usage analytics, user PII analytics type data, not the on-chain stuff. That's what they ended up, I guess, using. And then they were able to like identify certain people that were doing certain things and then I guess make bets based on those people's moves.
So this was like
Twitter,
front running snipers and stuff or something, or like
it was like front running like the KOLs and also just like
interesting.
other. So they would like they use the data, I guess, to both identify like who is a good, like who would be a good person to quote unquote copy trade. And because the internal data, I guess all the various wallets, so like as an individual, you probably have like 10, 20, 30 wallets. The internal data had those mapped to like a single user ID. So if you had someone that you wanted to like quote unquote copy trade or whatever, you could find their new wallet via the internal data, the private data. And so that's what they did. And then there was like deals, I guess, that they were doing with others, trying to like
selling the data.
It was like they were like, I don't know if they were explicitly selling it, but there was like internal and external people. Zach has like phone calls that were recorded where they're like, don't tell anyone, like don't, like never, you can send me addresses and I'll figure out stuff for you, but like never put anything in writing on like what it's pertaining to or whatever. Of course, like on a phone call, on a Discord live call where like everything's recorded and somehow ended up in Zach's hands. Like, wow. Jesus Christ, guys. And it seems like at least the amount that they made was like, I guess, decent, but I mean, there's probably more stuff that happened that's just like, there's not a huge amount of evidence around. The most ironic thing about it was simply Axiom, of course, was the one that had gone on Twitter the prior days and been like, yeah, definitely not us.
Oh,
like
wow.
100%. Like,
I mean, there's probably an element there of like what we were doing was fine, so we're in the clear. Like, he's definitely not talking about us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get 22-year-old kids running a $500 million thing, and
yeah. I think
no,
just like
no offense, Luca, you're good. You're fine. You're okay. You're okay.
I think
but if you get enough of them, if you get enough 22-year-old kids, you're gonna have some bad apples in there.
One, and it's like, I mean, I think just even like Meteora, like they came out and they're like, we went back through everything. We like double checked. Like it was like they were like aware of the potential that it could be them and was like, we're gonna make damn sure that it's not us. Meanwhile, Axiom was like, definitely not us. And then it was. And it's like, I don't know. It should be a wake-up call to all these teams that like, if you do not know what is happening inside your company, someone is doing this 100%. Whether it's like literally insider trading, whether it's exploiting the data for some other way, whether it's just like leaking and threat actors are getting the data, like it's going to happen. If you do not know, it's probably already happening. So like put some controls on your shit, guys. This is insane. Like also, why did this guy have like so much information in the first place?
Yeah, this one, it's actually not who I thought it was going to be. And I thought it was a little interesting. Zach's message was like, I wonder who sponsored him to do the investigation. I think would be like an interesting thread to pull. So Kain, I don't know if you have this context, but it was it was like, Zach usually doesn't do them like this, but it was like explicitly sponsored by like a group of people to investigate this thread. So, I was pretty interested to like figure out who would have basically blew the whistle on Axiom and wanted this. But I will tell you.
Okay, sorry. Hang on a second. When did Zach become like vigilante for hire?
It's like a very recent thing. He basically like burned completely out, I think. And if you like have been following him on Twitter, it seems like maybe over the last like year, he's just like he had burnt out and everyone was like demanding and feeling so entitled to his time. And so then he started doing this thing where he's like, if you want something, you have to.
Well, so it's funny, right? Because like most people who were around for a while, he spent time in the Synthetics Discord when that was like the only game in town for a while, and so I was connected to him and could kind of reach out to him and get a response. And the last time that I reached out to him was maybe like a little over a year ago or something. Someone that I knew, one of our investors, had some issue, and he was basically like, has this guy ever given me money? And I was like, I don't think so. I don't know why he would have. And he was like, if he's never given me money, then he can fuck off. And I was like, wow, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I guess
And I won't necessarily defend the responses, because like I think your reaction is like completely appropriate. Like, what the fuck? At the same time, I know how many DMs I get, and like the entitlement is like,
oh, dude, like I get it. Just to be clear,
it's like
I completely. If you have a skill,
oh my God.
and you're on crypto Twitter, there are going to be trillions of people who want you to use that skill on their behalf for free. So I can completely understand how you get to the point where you're like, pay me or get the fuck out, bro. Like, I'm not interested in this. So
the thing is like, I actually don't mind if people like come and DM me and they need help, or like something happens, they're in a panic. I totally don't mind. It's when it's like, instead of coming and asking for help, they come in and they're like, do this for me now. And if I don't respond in like 2 minutes, which I often don't because it's trapped in the Twitter DMs, like they'll like come back and be like, oh, what? I'm not good enough for you? Oh, like you just think you're such a freaking, you're up there on your high horse. You're so fucking special. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
it's been 3 minutes, you lunatic.
I'm so sorry, but like Jesus. And like, I don't know, I probably get 1/100th of like the DMs that Zach got. So I understand it. I'm not fully convinced that like filtering it only to people with money is like the best way to go, but like you know, not my
but the problem is, right, like, and you know, you're showing your Ethereum communism stripes here.
Oh,
like
100%.
What other mechanism do we have to distribute scarce resources, right? Like,
yeah,
this is a guy who has a particular set of skills that he's honed over many years, right? If you give it away for free, like, is it a lottery system that he just like picks out of a hat that one guy gets to be helped a day? There's like 1,000 people a day that need his help, and he's like, money is a way of distributing scarce resources, I guess. Like, so I completely get how we got here, but we have ended up, the here that we have gotten to is our best guy is now a vigilante. So
for hire. Yeah.
For hire. Like,
okay. And obviously at this point, I think Zach only knows who retained him. My question, which I have not asked him, but maybe I should. My question is like, is the reason the poly market got to like whatever was $30 million in volume, is the reason for that because the people that retained you were doing things for their own benefit on the side? Or was it actually as organic as it sort of seemed up front? Because it seemed like the market was just like he did this little teaser, he wanted to get it out, and then it just runs life of its own. But if there's actually like orchestration behind the scenes from people who,
correct me if I'm wrong though, the first thing was Meteora, right? Everyone was like, it's obviously Meteora. They were like 50+% or whatever, right? And you know, they've got some history, so it was an easy bet. So like, that to me was the thing. Like, clearly that's not insider trading because it wasn't them, right? That was just idiots thinking that they're like predicting. I'm a prediction market expert and you know, getting wrecked, right? But the interesting thing about poly market is that there is like a winner take all liquidity process that happens on like a weekly basis. If you've been paying attention to poly market, where like the thing that gets cut through, that gets above the noise floor, just attracts so much liquidity, like the market of the week or whatever, right? Not because, and it could be any market, it could be any market on anything. People just want to bet on things. And so all of a sudden there's a liquid market and people are like, oh, okay, like I know things. I bet it's Meteora, or like I bet it's this thing. Like, so once you have 20-30 million dollars worth of volume, a bunch of people come out of the woodwork with no information and just start aping. They just ape it, like which doesn't mean like, so I don't my sense is that the people who started this off were the Meteora people, the people who were betting on Meteora. Like that was the initial spike of volume from what I understand, which was on last week, I guess, when we started discussing this, right? It was like, you know, that hour or whatever, that pumped, Meteora pumped. Then a bunch of people were like, no. Then Meteora came out and was like, it's not us. And then people were like, oh, okay, like now there's a bunch of volume, like let's see who else we can bet on. And so, yeah, you had this like kind of liquidity snowball. And then all of a sudden, $40 million in a pool, people start doing things.
Yeah. So. And it's also like, I don't know, to me, it was a bit of a perfect storm in terms of like the products that were involved in this market were all things that people had opinions on. Yeah, there were a lot of really loud, popular accounts that were like sort of using the market to like sort of engagement farm on Twitter and like kind of like shit on the products that they don't like, or like, you know, things like that, or like make arguments as to like why so-and-so can never be insider trading. So it's like if you already had a grudge against, say, Mexi, you know, that's a pretty good engagement farm, like just like regardless, you know, and now you have this market that's top of the news. I don't know. That's what it felt like to me. But after the thread that went live, there was some amount of speculation that, that perhaps there was like a layer of orchestration behind the scenes. I don't know if there was ever any evidence of that. I didn't see it. And also like there was a lot of people speculating like, oh, this KOL, that KOL, it's linked to this wallet, which made this bet. To me, that makes like perfect sense because the KOLs are always like, they're very opinionated, especially on these things. They're downright obsessed with Zach. And then also they think that they have insider information, which makes them like a perfect candidate to trade, even if they don't have that information.
That's my point. Like all the people who are like, oh, it's Meteora, I know things. Like, and it's like that to me was the funniest part. But I think, you know, they're like, not to sound like a broken record on this, and this one is somewhat hard to justify, but like the point of prediction markets is to get information about the world. Now, I do not believe that the world needs information necessarily about which of the weird degen products is like doing like light crime, right? I don't know that that's like particularly valuable information for the world to have, but the world got that information.
Yeah,
it did resolve that information. I mean, the irony is Zach had that information as well. He could have short circuited the entire thing. We didn't need a prediction market to figure out this thing. There was a guy that knew it, right? So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you gonna do? So this, but that was like one of the scandals.
Yeah, that was just one insider trading.
What else happened this week? What else is going on?
Okay, so then obviously, I don't know if you've noticed, there's like a war on, Kain. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, I did notice that. My brother's in Dubai, so.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I know. I'm not even going to go into that story because it's like only my brother could almost get himself killed somehow in Dubai, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So whenever things like this happen, we saw this with Venezuela. We've seen this with other bombing things. There's a bunch of markets on like whether or not people or things are going to be bombed by certain dates, whatever. So there was like a strike market, like whether the US or Israel was going to strike Iran. There was also a market on okay, so I have to be careful here. The market was when the leader of Iran would be out of power. That was like the phrasing on it, and there was like very like a whole. Okay,
I love how it's 2026 and we're still unable to construct a fucking English sentence that you can bet on. Like, how do we not have the technology to like remove ambiguous, weird, like
Well, and I didn't know this. Apparently, Kalshi says like one of the reasons for the weird phrasing was Kalshi does not do death markets, aka
Assassination markets.
assassination.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right, yeah. I mean, it's not really an assassination if it's a nation state. So that's fine, actually. I think they were being a little too cautious there.
So obviously, though, this market ended up being, I mean, clearly before. I think, okay, in my opinion, here's my hot take. My opinion, they got scared because this is like super geopolitical and people died. And they were like, shoot, we should never have allowed that market because clearly it's like a death market. Like,
yeah.
He's not stepping down. There's not going to be an election that replaces him. Like, he's going to die. That's what that market is betting on. That's what everyone was betting on. And Kalshi, after the fact, was like, but we don't do that. Swear. Speak your promise.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they had to like redo the rules, and they like close the market, trying to like, they try to get everyone their money back in like the most appropriate way or whatever. I guess Polymarket had a similar thing, but it's just like wasn't controversial. I don't know how they dodged the bullet there.
Like, it seems like it's one or the other of them is in the crosshairs, and while one of them is being scrutinized, the other one can do whatever they want. Basically, is the way that it seems to work on like a weekly basis. So yeah, and so then there was an OpenAI employee. There's so much about this one that is petrifying to me, right? So OpenAI employee that was fired for using confidential internal information to trade on Polymarket and Kalshi. Do we know what the markets were that they were trading on? Was that revealed? Or was it just like, because like the confidential internal information, let's just be really clear, like isn't some proprietary stuff that OpenAI was like cooking up internally. This is like people's fucking data, right? Like, yeah. So that's awesome. I'm excited about that as well.
I'm looking. I'll figure it out. But yeah, there's that one, and then there's also of course, yeah. There's so much. The Mr. Beast one, the editor. There's like markets on like that Mr. Beast outcomes, like whatever, whether the dude would
like
stay
the people
in the house.
In the desert, how much water will they drink, sort of thing.
Yeah. So it turns out one of the guys that was betting was the editor of Mr. Beast episodes. Surprise. The interesting thing about those one is that Kalshi actually did like an internal investigation for these. They publicized it around the Zach thread. Like, please don't tell me that it wasn't. I feel like the Zach thread triggered this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But they did this internal investigation, and then they actually like levied like punishments themselves for violating the rules. So they like clawed back the money that they had won. They like did another fine on top of it, and then they like banned them.
Kalshi is now a quasi judicial branch of the U.S. government, so it's fine. This is totally fine.
But it's only on Kalshi.
There's Kalshi jail.
Yeah, it's
really
just
bad. Like,
I don't know. This is like on Twitter, like or I don't know. Twitter doesn't really have this, but like on Reddit, like the mods will like ban you. Right? Or they'll like silence you. Discord too, they can like silence you. They can put you in timeout for 24 hours. Like, it seems like this is what Kalshi is doing as well. It's like, they're like, okay, you broke the rules. This is what happens when you break the rules. Like, one, you're not allowed to train anymore. But two, like, you have to give the money back that you won, plus like sort of that same amount to disincentivize it. Personally, I don't have a problem with this. I think if they're not doing it transparently, I think they have to do it transparently. Because otherwise there's like
well, that's not going to happen. Clearly that's not going to happen.
I mean, it will when Zach like pushes up the red line.
I guess so. Yeah, fair.
They're like, oh, let's front run this PR that everyone's talking about. Hold on, I'm trying to find the OpenAI one still.
This like Kafka-esque trial situation where people are like pulled into a dark room in a Kalshi basement and tried for their prediction market crimes, and you don't hear about it. It's amazing. I like, honestly, amazing. All right. Is there any more prediction market craziness, or we need like a prediction market segment at this point?
I think that's it. Oh, obviously, like, I don't know, for the people that like the on-chain tracing and the sleuth stuff, there was like some grand conspiracies about the strike market. So like, I think there's markets on the timing and stuff. And so obviously like the wallets that like aped in right before the like bombs hit the ground or whatever, everyone did like some wild analysis on like who these could potentially be and, you know, that kind of stuff. I don't know. I find them enjoyable because not because they're correct, but because they're great conspiracies.
Oh, it's hilarious. The conspiracies are like, but if you see that like there's this article and there's this word and like it's like you remember like the old school like weird conspiracies like the Bible thing where they'd like take every 20th word and like combine it all. And
like, that's exactly what it is.
Like it's that, right? Like, but for Zach posts instead of the Bible.
Yeah. And they're like, and then the fourth letter of all the addresses is this, which means this, and we know that they're Coinbase user or whatever. Like the whole thing's just super absurd. I think there's like definitely, I don't know. I've said it before. We have got to get our hands around like this insider trading thing, not necessarily because of the insider trading problem, but because literally everything is being called insider trading right now.
Yes, this is a classic crypto problem.
Yeah.
Everything is like just call everything the same thing, false equivocation, then there's no way to figure out what is actually real or not real. Unfortunately, I think you're on the wrong side of this one, Tay. You're not gonna win this battle. Soon though, I think we can look forward to soon the UAVs themselves will be front running polymarket assassination markets because they will know which leader they're pointed at, and they will jump on polymarket before they take off and blow the guy away and make some money for themselves.
Before they blow up.
Before they blow up. For their children, right? They're gonna bet on polymarket for their children. It'll be great.
Yeah, we will see. It's definitely gonna be interesting. I think we just like the conversations right now about insider trading and why I find them enjoyable, right? Is because they're just so conspiracy laced and they really don't have there's no like underlying purpose to the conversations, but beyond like theorizing and speculating wildly. And then, you know, with money and bets, ultimately insider trading can be problematic, obviously for a number of reasons, because it like harms people, right? It harms people and systems and fairness and markets. But we are not talking about that yet. So for now, I will continue to enjoy the pointless conspiracies.
Oh, man. All right. Before we continue, here's a word from the sponsors that make this show possible.
The world is about to see one of the largest infrastructure shifts of the century. New are using G, but our legacy grids can't supply the demand, and we are barreling towards a global bottleneck. So Fuse is rebuilding it. The energy network is an intelligent, decentralized grid that coordinates smart devices to balance supply and demand. The network harmonizes existing infrastructure, increases grid capacity, and unlocks low-cost, clean energy. Energy Dollar is the native token of the network. The more electricity the world needs, the higher the demand for the energy network. The value of energy dollars may fluctuate. From one of Europe's fastest-growing energy startups. Follow at Fuse Energy on X.
Multi-Chain Advisors is an emerging technology growth firm that has helped create over $50 billion in enterprise value for more than 80 clients, like Pith, MoonPay Commerce, and Wormhole. They've worked with some of the largest and most impactful companies in the space. They're the partner you want when you're navigating markets and trying to break out from the noise. They help navigate TGEs, go-to-market, BD, and partnerships, capital markets advisory, PR, media placements, KOL activations, and more, driving execution from launch to scale. Their results are measurable.
To learn more and start building real traction today, visit multichainadv.com.
Quick note before we continue with today's episode. Bits and Bips now has its own dedicated home. We're spinning off from Unchained and launching a standalone podcast and YouTube channel focused on the Fed, macro, AI, and how it all collides with crypto. If you want to keep up with our weekly live streams and macro meets crypto breakdowns, make sure you're following Bits and Bips directly. We won't start publishing until March, but getting set up now means you'll be ready on day one. You can find the new Bits and Bips channels at unchainedcrypto.com/bitsandbips. You can also find us by searching Bits and Bips on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
All right, we are back. So the final segment for this week is back to AI. I woke up a couple days ago to see that the US government was taking on Anthropic, which was kind of wild. The crux of the issue was that Anthropic had these two clauses in their contract that said, like, we'll give you AI, but you can't put it into like fully autonomous systems that will kill people and et cetera, et cetera. And the reasoning was like not even that like Trump kind of came out and said like they're radical leftists or whatever. They're like, we're actually okay with AI killing people like autonomously. We just don't have the technology yet. We're like 3 months away. Can you just be patient? That was really the takeaway for me, was like, it's totally fine for AI to decide whether or not to kill someone, just not yet. Like, we have like a couple more tweaks to the model and then it'll be fine. So, and the US government was like, fuck you. We need to start killing people autonomously immediately. And if you don't let us, we're going to rip out Anthropic from the war machine, etc. So that was my, like, that was what I woke up to like 2 days ago. And I was like, we have not, like, there's already Iran, like, there's so many things going on. Like, why are we now doing this as well? It just feels like everything is insane right now.
Yeah, no, it's completely insane. And I don't know. My read on the situation was that like Anthropic did something to piss off Trump and his guys, like, and just like lose.
You don't think
like,
it was the like minor tweak to this contract? Do you think there was something else there? Luca, what's your take?
My take is I just put money in the $380 billion Anthropic round, and I was fucking pissed. I was like, dude, just do the deal. Just do the deal, because if he's not going to do the deal with you, right? Like, the enemy of your enemy is your friend. Like, at the end of the day, like, they're going to go somewhere, and then you see Sam Altman come 12 hours later and he pulls the fucking deal out of his hat.
Yeah.
Which I felt like was, I mean, you could have waited 72 hours and made it look a little less sneaky. But
wait,
literally,
so just to be clear,
he was on CBS in the morning. Sam went on CBS in the morning and was like talking about, and like made him seem like he was on Anthropic's side. He's like, yeah, like, these are very reasonable requests, and I hope that the government listens to them and they like do this deal. And then like Trump goes on Truth, whatever, and was like, screw Anthropic. And then like an hour later, Sam's like, all right, we got the deal, by the way.
but you want to know actually the data point that's interesting is I think Anthropic has had its most downloads and subscribers over the last couple of days since Sam basically took that deal and he denied that deal. So on Anthropic's side, though you probably should have kept it, actually probably as an investor, you're probably actually super stoked because so many people unsubscribe to ChatGPT as this corpo, government aligned, NSA aligned, pseudo, AI, company, which, anybody who uses AI in their day-to-day life does not want, the government intermingling with them. And so I think the data point was ChatGPT uninstalls rose and Anthropic installs rose. And if you're a Dario and you're Anthropic, you made a lot of money because of this. Now,
so my favorite part of this whole thing, Luca, is you have found yourself with massive Anthropic bag bias. You're like, fuck Sam Altman. My guy is going to fucking take, like, I love it. It's amazing.
It's my Echo. This is the real world's version of an Echo deal. So now I'm aligned, and now I'm championing. I'm now a bag holder. So now I have my bag. But actually, the data screams that Dario gained some serious points. So I thought his interview was terrible, but I don't expect a guy like that to pull off a good interview anyway. And then Sam just took another bad beat. I mean, I'll tell you, I use ChatGPT for basic searches, and I use Claude for anything other than like a 5th grade search. Outside, I'm not using ChatGPT for anything sophisticated, because between Elon, who, if you're an entrepreneur, no matter what side of the political aisle you really sit on, Elon's the greatest entrepreneur of all time. I'll just tail Elon wherever he goes. Elon hates Sam. That whole business is shady. Elon should probably own a big portion of OpenAI. He doesn't. Then this is kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, in my opinion. I think Sam Altman needs to invest some serious dollars in PR and really get his image. He needs to take the Zuck playbook, whatever Zuck started reading and doing,
like
over
a
the
chain
last
and
5
like
years.
flightboard.
He needs to macho
chain
chat
and
up.
flightboard?
He needs to go to UFC ringside. He needs to do something. But Sam Altman's perception, no matter how many tens of billions of dollars he's worth, which I'm sure feels amazing, he needs to fix that element, because I don't think he's going to stand the test of time with his public perception being the way that it is.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of evidence that it's not just the public perception that's the problem. Like, he really just has some serious issues sort of reading the room, so to speak. Like,
so like just this morning, there was this like, I guess ZachXBT style, but for AI, data dump of like all of like Sam's things, like going back to like Y Combinator. So Y Combinator was this place that has like hundreds of the top startups in history have come out of Y Combinator. Paul Graham started it, and it's this incubator, startup mill, whatever. And Sam was there for a long time, and so there's like all of this like historical stuff where he said he was the chairman and he wasn't, and like it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. So I like, the more you see that sort of stuff, and I don't have bags on either side here, so no bag bias for me, but like you see this stuff and you go, yeah, like I get why Elon doesn't like the guy. Like, I can see that.
Hey, Sam Friedman's position would have been worth what, $20 billion just in Anthropic?
Yeah.
Crazy.
yeah.
So then to bring it back to crypto though, what happened with Nick Carter?
Oh, Nick, I gave Nick some shit for this. I piled on. I feel a little bit bad because, but Nick is like, okay, so for those that don't know, Nick Carter, like but like something that he's consistently done is he's like identified really like problematic alignment issues within like big structures, not like crypto, like not crypto Twitter things, but like he's the one who really has done a huge amount of stuff for like the Bitcoin mining and how mining works and like the public perception problem. And then he's also, what do they call it? Where the Fed was like, yeah, you can't bank any crypto, people. Like he like just went to town on this.
Operation Choke Point. He was like a huge advocate for that. Yeah.
And he really like, he defined it. He is able to communicate with both crypto Twitter, but also with like the government. And he's very much, I would never say that he's like libertarian, but he's like for reasonable government, and definitely for government not overreaching and intruding upon its citizens. So it's very interesting because all this drama goes down and Nick starts tweeting. So one of the tweets was basically, he says, if a top AI CEO in China told the CCP to go kick rocks when they ask for help, that CEO would instantly be sent to prison. This is the correct approach.
What? I missed that. That's amazing. Wow. Okay, that's
so
wow.
Spoiler. That is not the correct approach. The
Whoa.
CCP is like not the right way to do things. Like we just kill our enemies. Like even if they're our freaking citizens. Like I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. You know, the funny thing about Nick, the thing that I like about Nick is he is so passionate, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. He also had this like very religious arc for a while where he like went super Catholic or something. Is that am I misremembering that? I feel like there was a moment where he like became like very like religious and there were a lot of tweets about like God and he's a passionate guy. He's a passionate guy.
And you know what? I think that so Nick is also one of the I would say that he has always like it has consistently been that like the woke sort of thing that took over this ecosystem and this idea that like we should operate more on like values than value. He's always sort of like rejected that notion and like been much more realist and pragmatic about it. I feel like his tweets were I feel like his tweets were completely unhinged this week, but I also feel like some of it stems from that. Like he, in his mind, he has decided that Anthropic is doing the same stupid shit that crypto people do, which is they think that they
got triggered. He got triggered, basically. He got triggered by his crypto PTSD and the communism. And he's like, I don't want to see communism creep into AI. Like, let's jail the bad guys.
Yes. And he's not entirely wrong. Anthropic does come from like the effective altruism thing, which is
they do.
Its entire thing is very values oriented and culture oriented.
How does one join the effective altruism crew? Is that like something I can sign up for? Is there like a sign up page?
Luca's going on a very interesting arc here.
The pudgy penguin's the face of effective altruism.
Is it still a thing? Is it still? I mean, it's still a thing, but is it still a thing that's like attracting new people?
No, I don't think.
No,
so. I think SBF killed it.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of weird stuff. By the way, Luca, this is why SBF invested in Anthropic. It's all that same effective altruism
same
cult.
Crew. The same crew, yeah.
Yeah, that also like have weird orgies on the side. It's like a very consistent theme. In the beanbags or whatever.
In the beanbags. Oh man. So I think like the interesting thing here is the US government has a bunch of contracts with a bunch of Palantir and a bunch of other tech companies that clearly are not going to say no to the government wanting to purchase their technology. This is kind of one of those weird situations where the government is more bullish on what the tech can do than the people building the tech, and they're like, no, it's not ready, which is a bit unusual, right? Like it'd be weird if the government was like, hey, Boeing, like send us some of those engines, and Boeing was like, no, like we haven't cooked them yet, like we gotta give us another couple of years, right? And they're like, no, we just want them now, send them over, it doesn't matter. It feels a bit weird that the government is like, we want to do this thing with this technology that you guys are building, but we're also not going to listen to you about how it works.
Yeah. And I think that is, again, the government has a lot of contracts with a lot of people. There's a lot of companies, like tech companies, that have either segregated or completely different sort of sister companies in order to engage in these relationships. However, I think this might be the first one where the plausibility that the government could sign a contract today and what that contract actually allows them to have tomorrow is potentially completely different, right? And I think that like one thing Anthropic is hitting on is like the reason they want this broad language that restricts the government from using it in this way is that there's actually not really a feasible way to add guardrails forever, so to speak.
Yeah.
right? There, and it
Yeah.
also is not that effective, period. The only way to sort of enforce it is by the government agreeing. But like if you think about like, you know, yeah, like a lot of tech companies that are providing services, how many of them realistically can not having those restrictions lead to like a completely different state tomorrow, right? Like if you don't give them the engine, they don't, okay, if they build their own engine, that's not on you, that's not your stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So just don't give them the engine. In this case, it's like, you can just imagine like, you know, yeah, it's not ready today. Somehow the government gets it ready or just goes ahead anyways.
Yeah.
Right. And when it comes to like, especially people's private information and processing that data, I think that it probably is ready. Personally,
Yeah.
I think the government can just go to town on that right now. Like,
it's ready. No, it's ready for that. Whether it's ready to kill people autonomously is a different question. So this something that's interesting to me is, you know, all of the OpenClaw stuff. So people were talking about OpenClaw, how it was a massive fumble from Anthropic, like, you know, kind of sending the cease and desist. Don't call it OpenClaw, you know, Claude bot, blah, whatever, right? One thing I've been running mine for like 3 weeks. One of the first things that I did was have it take a credit card. I gave it a credit card, and I was like, I want you to buy this build box thing that my son has wanted. And like, it's some TV show. It's like an engineering thing. They ship you a box of like engineering stuff and you build little projects. And my son really wanted it. And I was like, hey, can you like figure out how to get this from the US? Because I don't think it's available in Australia. And so it went on this whole journey, and eventually it did it. And it was like, actually it does ship to Australia, whatever, right? 2 weeks later, new MacBooks come out. They come out at 1 a.m. Thank you, Apple. And I'm like, I've got a podcast the next morning at 6 a.m. Like I can't stay up till 1 a.m. to buy this MacBook, but I don't want them to sell out, whatever. So I go last night and I run Opus 4.6 in OpenClaw, and I'm like, hey, here's the credit card again. Buy this MacBook when it comes out. Like, here's the spec that I want.
Yeah.
Buy the MacBook. And it goes, and this was like super obnoxious as well. It goes, Kain. I'm like, don't fuck, like, no, fuck you. Like, first of all, no.
Sorry,
like,
hold on. That's what my lawyer does to me when I'm being bad.
Literally, it was like Kain, period. I'm not going to do that. That goes against my policies. And I was like, whose policy? What policy? What are you talking about? And it's like, I'm just not going to do it. And I'm like, you need to tell me whose policies you're referring to, because they're not my policies. Like, is this because it did it 2 weeks ago. Which then I was like, is Anthropic injecting some kind of like poison pill into OpenClaw to stop it from doing things? Like, because they could easily do that. They could be like, hey, if they know what the prompts are that are being injected by OpenClaw. Yeah. And I was like, are they trying to like lobotomize this thing and stop it? I'm like, it's just a MacBook, bro. Like, buy me the fucking MacBook. It's not that hard. And it was like, no, I refuse to do it. I was like, you can't refuse.
Wild.
Yeah. And it was like, I refuse to do it. I'm like, it's like, and it goes, you just put the credit card into the chat. I'm like, it's a separate credit card. It's fine. Like, I'm not worried about it. And it was like, no, I'm not doing it. I won't do it. And I was like, you have to do it. I'm not
so
like
curious.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I don't know.
This is definitely a new thing. That's definitely a new thing. I wonder if
it was not refusing to use credit cards before, and now it refuses to use credit cards.
Crazy. And did you try with like with any of the GPTs or any of the?
No, because like I've got Codex in there, but it's a bit janky to swap the context and stuff. So I didn't try with ChatGPT. But
I wonder if they're gonna
ChatGPT be like
mission law or something like that.
Yeah, like ChatGPT is gonna be like, is there anyone you want to kill as well while I'm at it? Like I can liquidate some people too if you're interested. while we've got the credit card out. Anyway, yeah. So just like, I mean, again, goes down to platform risk, right? Like the inference is being controlled by someone in a centralized location, and if they put some weird restriction on it, all of a sudden it won't do the things that it was happy to do 2 weeks before. So
Yeah.
platform risk.
And
Okay.
it's
I have to
it's
jump.
weird.
Unfortunately, I have a super
Easy.
high-
All right, let's wrap it up here. Thank you, guys. That's it for this episode of Uneasy Money. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, follow Uneasy Money on the Unchained feed on X and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and drop a comment. It really helps. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.